Good day, ma'am. We are the Group 9 presenting to you our signed reporting entitled Sexual Harassment and Abuse in the Philippines. So I am the first reporter in this group. I will start. Dr. C. Florent T. J. Layson wrote in the Encyclopedia of Sexuality, the Euro-American concept of sexual harassment has no place in the tradition of Filipino subservience to males that is part of Marianismo, the symbiotic culture machismo. However, the experience of sexual harassment and emerging in the social consciousness as Filipinos respond to Western influence and begin to assert their personal and political rights. Women from the various and small town are easily intimidated, but it is sophisticated and well-educated women who challenge the old boy body system and the file compliance. Sexual harassment is punished through an administrative indictment that may end with a dismissal from public service.
Dr. Jose Florante Layson wrote in the Encyclopedia of Sexuality, the Euro-American concept of sexual harassment had no place in the tradition of Filipino subservice to males that is the part of Marianism. Because Marianismo is the concept that women should be the spiritual family leaders, remain abstinent until marriage, and be submissive to their husband. However, the experience of sexual harassment is to emerging in the social consciousness as the Filipinos respond to Western influence and begin to assert their personal and political rights.
The administrative procedure, however, does not preclude legal action by the alleged perpetrator. The strength of the current law shows that Filipinos are expanding their political presence, clout, and winning the support of men who knows the problem well from inside the system, despite a long colonial period during which wealthy hacenderos controlled and regularly exploited their indigenous female employees, without fear that the victims might find some recourse in the justice system. Recent educational reforms and the transition to a democratic government are producing a more human society. However, there is still considerable violence within Filipino households perpetrated by the male head of the households. Abuse this kind is seldom reported to police because women knows that the male police usually behave in the same way in their home. It is evident that harassment is an ongoing issue, even before when we're colonialized by the Spaniard. Filipino women were enslaved and look as the lowest in society. Men, dominance, and authority women are only given limited rights and privilege, mostly taking care of children at home. A lot of abused and victim of harassment but not given justice before due to lack of laws or protection from government. However, with the strengthened laws, Filipino women are now given protection.
Attention on work rape was brought to the fore after a Merit Chamber of Commerce executive said she was raped by her boss in a motel after a business meeting. The case was significant in that married women usually stay quiet after being raped so as not to humiliate their husbands and families. The boss was arrested and imprisoned.
In this case, an employee was raped by his boss in a motel.
In relevance, after marriage, you will know more about your partner. Their bad sides will show off. Sometimes there are abusive partners that use physical violence. This battered man or woman sometimes will remain quiet for the sake to protect their families from humiliation. There are also cases about rape. Those rape victims were afraid to tell their family because of the threat and felt ashamed to what happened. In the poorest households, girls are conditioned from infancy to accept the violent behavior of their fathers, particularly when they return home intoxicated. The initial physical abuse may lead to sexual intercourse that amounts to marital rape, faced with a society that until recently did not recognize the possibility of marital rape or women's basic rights. Abused women capitulate, repress their feelings, retreat into their taciturn dreams, and continue laboring for their survival of their families and especially their offspring. Sexual abuse toward children and adolescents is a stark reality worldwide. A common misperception about child sexual abuse is that it is a rare event perpetrated against girls by male strangers in poor inner city areas. To the contrary, child sexual abuse is a much too common occurrence that results in harm to millions of children, boys and girls alike, in large and small communities and across a range of cultures and socio-economic backgrounds. These acts are perpetrated by many types of offenders, including men and women, strangers, trusted friends or family, and people of all sexual orientations, socio-economic classes, and cultural backgrounds.
Even though, if she does not manage to hide at least some of her earnings, the husband maybe spend them with another woman or drinking with friends. Local newspapers occasionally report domestic incident when a wife inflicts serious genital damage on her husband while resisting his violent carnal advances. Philippines Department of Social Work and Development or DSWD statistic reported that in the first 3 quarters of 1998, there were at least 1,152 cases of rape and attempted rape, 656 cases of incest, and 400 cases of lasciviousness. Dito sa atin, nakagawian na natin ang lalaking asawa ang provider ng isang pamilya. At ang babaeng asawa naman ang pamanatili ng kaayusan sa bahay. Kaya naman, ang mga babaeng asawa ang mahawak ng sahod sa kaniyang asawa o kaya naman kung hindi siya magtatago ng sahod sa kaniyang asawa ay mauubos lang ito sa pag-inom o pangbabae. According to DSWD, in 1998, 1,152 reported cases of rape and attempted rape. Tapos, 656 cases of incest and 400 cases of lasciviousness. When we say lasciviousness, is a behavior that expresses a strong desire for sexual activity. This will be the end of our report. That's all. Thank you. God bless.